Welcome back to the north. Let me tell you, these guys are getting some love today because I really haven't. I just haven't had time. I've been busy with so much other stuff this past week that this tank's gone 7, maybe 8 days. This whole downstairs system without a water change. You can see my bubbles are hanging around a lot longer than they need to, and it's due. It's definitely due. But despite how old the water is, it looks real nice. It's crisp and clear. The fish are still happy, but we're gonna fix that up and make it fresh. Get some good minerals in there, and change this out. This water's also been heavily evaporated. What I mean by heavily evaporated is, oh god, that light is just horrible. I'll just stand back, but you can see half a 75 gallon is evaporated out of the system. My furnace kind of sucks it out of the air. I got lids. I got lids on everything. It happens anyway, because there's holes for the hang-on backs and stuff, and that's all it takes. The good news is, since I've set this up in the house, normally in the winter my house is very dry, and it's not anymore. It's quite comfortable now having the tanks in play. So yeah, you can see that the water level's halfway down, and the bubbles are just kind of gets worse as I get closer. It's just insane. The bubbles are just horrible. They're lasting, so it's well past due, and we're gonna get her done. Okay, everything's in place over here. I've got the outflow pipe and the sump in there. These barrels are being filled by gravity through this pipe. It comes out from this tank. The loop starts over here with that sump pumping the water up into this tank in that corner there. Can't really see it, but there's a little inflow coming in there at about 400 and something, 50-ish gallons per hour. So it's flowing down that pipe at the same rate into the barrels. Barrel 1 fills up, then it overflows into barrel 2. Barrel 2 fills up, then it overflows down into the 75 gallon. Each one of these barrels is also pumping water into this tank and the big Oscar tank on the other side of the wall. So the next thing to do is to basically disconnect the pumps that feed these two tanks, and that's going to make this tank down here fill up a little more as these drain. So I just do that right down here. I pull those two out, and that'll happen. So we'll do that now. Now that those plugs have come out, you can already hear the flow rate starting to pick up over here, and it's going to flow in there a lot faster. Pardon that flickery light. This barrel could potentially overflow, but it shouldn't, but it might, because I got a UV light in the tube there. That's why we're in the basement. You can see here the water level starting to drop, and it's also dropping over here. And it'll basically drop down to the weir height, which is these things I have in the corners of these tanks. They'll stop it from dropping much lower than probably around here. There's another one of those over here doing the same job. It'll cut the drain off. So now it's a good time to start pumping water out of the entire system, and I'm going to start doing that right now. So I've engaged the outflow sump. It's pumping at 860 gallons per hour into my sink. That's happening right there. You can see it's coming out with some good force, and that will it's going to drain out the barrel. While that barrel is being drained out at 800 and whatever gallons per hour, it's being filled up. Thank God, sometimes the camera can compensate. It's being filled up at 450-ish gallons per hour while it drains. So what happens is this tank is going to drain while I leave that plugged in. So I'm draining the brown barrel and this tank probably at an equal rate, but of course this tank is very evaporated, so I don't have to, I'll be unplugging that sump a lot sooner than normal. And when I unplug that sump, this tank will drop down by an inch into the bottom tank, but that's fine. That's why I'm going to make sure it's good and low. And then we'll have the brown barrel will be empty by then, and we'll be draining the blue barrel, and I'll start filling the brown barrel. And then by the time the blue barrel drains, the brown barrel will be soon to overflow into the blue barrel. And then that one fills up to 75. When the 75 gets right full, and I actually fill it right up, because the evaporation is pretty quick here. Then I re-engage this guy, re-engage those two over there, pumps over there, and then the whole system's back up and running with a 45-ish % water change. I say 50, but it's probably more like 45-ish, which is good enough considering all my filtration. It refreshes the system, and I'm good for basically another 5 days. I went more than a week this time though, and everything's hunky-dory, so 5 days is just a nice number for me. Nice normal number. I like it better. It's nice to know I got a little extra time if I need it though. Sometimes we get busy. So yeah, no algae and fresh water on the way. It's not really going to look any different than this until I'm done. You see, and the beauty of the centralized system is these tanks are drained as much as they're going to drain throughout this whole process. Their filters are still running. Their heaters are still running. The fish don't even know it's happening. All they know is they lost a couple inches off the top, if they can even detect that. Completely comfortable the whole time. And when I'm done and I kick everything back in, fresh water just starts mixing into the air gets nicer. And it's all nice and pleasant, stress-free. I love it. So now we're draining the blue barrel, and at the same time I'm filling the brown barrel. And yeah, saves time. One barrel's, you can't really see down there very well, but it's coming up on half full. And this one's more than half empty. So it just lines up good time-wise. Don't forget to check out Joy at Fish Keeping. All the water's been pumped out, and we're just waiting for this guy to get to the top. Almost there. See how they just line up nice? Then this will start overflowing straight into here. Right now it looks like it's 84 degrees. That'd be actually 83 degrees, a little warm looking, but I'm going to run it at hot water, and it won't be too warm by the time we're done. I don't have to be as careful in the winter. I just run it all full blast. It works out in the end. There we go. As you can see, the brown barrel's overflowing now into the blue barrel. Blue barrel will fill up and outflow here into the 75. And then the 75 will fill up When that gets full, then I get near full, I start kicking in the other tanks, which will drain the barrels a little. And then after they're all running right, I let this go all the way up to the top, and I shut it down, and I reactivate all the sumps at the same time. Let it go to the top, and we're done. And really, I water change four tanks out, and it feels like I just did the work for one. So it's something to be said about centralizing your tanks. There's pitfalls. You know, if I got something like ick, it would be bad because I'd have 4 tanks full of ick. But the trick is you just don't bring home ick. And other than that, it's all just advantages, like total win-win. There's no downfalls. The longest part's actually filling it. Time for a smoke. That barrel's filled, and it's now overflowing down here. You can sort of see it flowing in there. And our temperature is 82 degrees. We keep it at right now anyway, but the back end of the barrel is going to start getting cold. Probably already is. As you can see, it's down in 75. So once the water pushes through and it all mixes up, it'll be fine. This tank will probably get the coldest, but all the water will mix within like half an hour, and it'll equalize out. It'll also happen very slowly, not fast enough to really hurt the fish, not these fish. So at the end of the day, they'll be a couple of degrees within their norm the whole time. That's just how it's going to work out. But I've run out of hot water basically at this point, and I still got that much to go. I'm actually going to kick the barrel heaters in. They're good to go now. And I'm going to start up these 2 side tanks and get the water mixing. Okay, so this system and the Oscar setup are now draining water out of the barrels, circulating their water out and into the barrels. So the mixing's already begun. All I need is this lower tank to fill, get a little closer to full, and then I'll kick in that sump, which will then fill this tank up, start the overflow through the barrels. This water will start mixing in and warming up the barrels too, because the first barrel's getting cold right now. So by the time it all happens, the tank's they just blend. It works out. But yeah, right now I'm pumping cold water still into the back side of it, and it's still kind of warm over here. You can see it's 80 degrees in the green barrel right now, which is actually perfect, but then it's going to be colder coming off the back end. But those 2 barrels are mixing with each other right now, and with these 2 big tanks, which is going to level the temperature out. And as you can see, it's starting to drop there. Now I've just re-engaged this pump, so it's filling up this tank right now. We're just about to, and then it'll start overflowing. Just going to increase the barrel's flow rate down here significantly, and then we're going to bring this whole tank's almost full. And once we're full, we're done. Then I'll take video. I'll pause, give it an hour, and we'll come down. We'll make a video of the finished product. See if I like what I see, and if I waited too long and I don't like what I see, then I just do it one more time, and it'll be good. But I think we're good, because everything looked fine when I started, to be honest. And it's going to be fine when we're done. We're almost there, just a little bit more water. A few more inches. Okay, so the fill has just completed. I gotta do this one too. Fill is just completed. Everything's filled right out. That one's I'm just leaving it dark. This messes with the camera. Everything's beginning to mix. You see the temperatures. You know, haven't really moved much. But over here in the barrels, see we're down a few degrees. But tanks are holding strong. And the barrel temperatures are actually rising because the tanks are starting to mix with them. So it all works out in the end. There's the temperature in the Oscar tank. Now I just got to do the glass, clean all the glass panels, and rearrange these plants. And then we'll let it sit for an hour, and I'll take video, and then I'll patch this all together. We'll upload it for you. That's a water change downstairs at Discus North. Well, it's all been running for a little while. I kind of came back to it and did some work on the Oscar tank, so it's a little bit behind on. I did a gravel vac and filter cleaning over there. I murked it up. It's really not all that bad. It just needs a little more time to clear. And then the whole system is back to perfection for another week. And what temperature's already almost fixed itself. So it'll all be back to where it should be by morning. That's it. That's how the water change works for the 450 gallon flow system. And it'll just run like clockwork till I do my next water change down here. Some happy fishies. That's a cool tank. Catch you on the next one.